Welcome to Voices of Biocomplexity, conversations inspired by complexity. I'm Erin Raymond from the University of Virginia's Biocomplexity Institute, and in each conversation we explore how data, modeling, and interdisciplinary science help us understand the interconnected challenges shaping our world. Welcome to Voices of Biocomplexity. I'm Erin Raymond from the Biocomplexity Institute. And I'm having a conversation today with my friend and colleague, Parantapa Bhattacharya. How's that?
That was good.
Okay, that was pretty good. Tell me your title, because you just got a promotion recently.
Well, I'm a research assistant professor at Biocomplexity Institute at UVA.
Perfect. Okay, and the whole reason I'm having this conversation with Parantapa is we have a staff meeting every Monday. And at the staff meeting, we can bring up things that we are interested in or, sciencey things that we want to talk about. I say we, which is not usually me. But Parantapa was talking about an article that he had read in The Guardian that was about how China, okay, I'm going to mess this up, but I'm going to say it, how China has built a supercomputer that uses CPUs instead of GPUs. And I am sitting there thinking, I don't even know the difference between a CPU and a GPU. And I don't know why this matters and why it's important. So let's start with, we're going to back it way up. Start with the CPU. Okay, central processing unit?
That is correct.
Awesome. Nailed it. Okay, and that's what lives in my computer and makes it do things.
Yes.
Okay, so then GPU. Does that also lives in my computer?
That lives in most computers.
Okay.
Especially if you have a laptop or a desktop, it is there. It is the thing that is showing the video on your screen.
Okay, so the CPU churns through bits and bytes and whatever, and then that turns it into pictures that show up on my screen?
Yes. So your CPU is doing all the computation. So it's like figuring out where your files are, how to read those files, how to process those files, and then it needs to show you something on your monitor, right?
Right, yeah.
And so it is sending these information to the monitor, and the GPU takes all that information. GPU, by the way, stands for Graphics Processing Unit.
Okay.
And it basically then displays the thing on your monitor. Now, this display can be difficult, especially think of if you're watching a high definition video,
right,
or you're playing a newer video game that is like doing a lot of things. So showing stuff on your monitor has to do with a lot of computation.
Right.
So it still has to do a lot of compute. So a GPU is a specialized piece of hardware that does that. And that has been used. People have figured out some time ago now, that they can also use this machine that is specialized to do graphics, used to be just for graphics,
right,
for other kinds of computation.
Okay, because I really was head scratching about this. Parantapa and I talked about this. The CPU is like the car, and the car does a lot of things, and you can go forward, backwards, sideways, you can do air conditioning, radio, whatever. And the GPU is like a drag racer that goes really fast in a straight line. It can go do crazy, but in a very narrow scope of things. Right. So the GPU originally was created just to turn those pixels into a thing that makes sense on my screen.
Correct.
Okay.
GPU is basically like another that was a very apt metaphor. Another metaphor can be like if you have a person, a human.
Yeah.
A human can go and make a lot of different things.
Yes. Right.
But if you build a special purpose factory,
right,
that can do one thing, but do it a lot faster.
Yes.
So that's the metaphor.
Yeah.
Like a GPU is specialized, CPU is less specialized.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So now we go to the Guardian article.
Right.
Right. Okay. So it was surprising that they built a supercomputer with CPUs as the main engine.
Right. So top 500 is a list that is published twice a year at like two big supercomputing conferences. So there are like the supercomputing that generally happens, and there is the International Supercomputing Conference. So in the ISC, they publish the newest top 500 list, and this line shine new supercomputer from China is at the top. This is big news, first of all, because it's coming from China, which has not been publishing their computer power on the top 500 for the past few years. So like past, I think 4 or 5 years, I think when the US embargo on moving computers started on China, they sort of kind of stopped. So now they are coming in and saying, we have a big supercomputer and we have the fastest supercomputer.
Right.
So that is by in itself a big news.
Right. Because I think you talked about this. They did not historically build the CPUs inside China. Like before, that was an import, primarily import.
The top, like, the most powerful CPUs, they were importing, right? And there has been some discussions. Obviously, this is like, you cannot say for certain that part of the reason they started building their own was because of the embargoes.
Right.
And now they have shown they can build the fastest supercomputer.
Yeah, not only did they build their own, but the fastest one. And it's fastest by like a lot, right?
Well, like I think they have a 2 point something. By a lot, it's like 10%, 20%, but that's big.
I mean, that's pretty significant, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like a race. So they have built the fastest, but they will not stay there because people are going to keep building.
Right.
Coming back to the question of CPU versus GPU.
Yes.
The more recent US supercomputers have been, and also European supercomputers, have been GPU based.
Okay.
Right. As we said, like,
because they can do
a lot of computation.
Things like really fast in a narrow scope.
Correct. And this supercomputer is a CPU-based supercomputer. So that basically, from my perspective, means it's a more flexible supercomputer.
Right.
Typically, like CPUs gave you flexibility, but not as much compute power.
Right.
GPUs, you got more compute, less flexibility.
Right.
So there was a trade-off.
Yes.
What they are doing, what they have done is create a more flexible and more powerful supercomputer by doing the CPU stuff.
Right.
Which I think is also another important piece that I found interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And our boss, Madhav, he said something towards the end of the conversation, like, yes, this has come and got, like, before supercomputers used to be CPUs, and then they were GPUs and CPUs and like we kind of go back and forth, maybe.
So like there is always like a cycle between specialized system and general system. So there will come at some point when the research on general purpose system stalls, and people say like, oh, where can we get performance? So they start building GPUs, or some other kind of specialized computer, and then like they hit sort of kind of wall, and like, okay, let's rethink what we have, and they find sometimes new things, and so the CPU part goes on back and forth. So I think he was referring to that kind of a cycle.
Right.
I am not fully convinced that the cycle is switching or not, so that I don't have a strong opinion on.
Right.
But maybe.
Right. And it's just interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah.
It's super interesting. Thank you for having this conversation with me.
You're welcome.
About this, because I don't know about these things. I hope that you enjoyed this, and we will see you for our next conversation. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. I'm Erin Raymond, and this has been Voices of Biocomplexity, conversations inspired by complexity. If you enjoyed today's discussion, you can find more conversations, videos, and stories from the Biocomplexity Institute on our website, YouTube channel, and your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, stay curious, and thanks for listening.